this time on StandardBred.
Christian Cullen takes off. Round the outside he goes, and he's zipped up outside of Roy Mark.
He might be a template for the almost perfect harness racer, and excitement on the track. Standards of excellence in the breeding barn, and still with plenty to offer, with a little help from his friends.
So in a nutshell, Trent, the project here at Dancingonmoonlight for Christian Cullen?
It's to give the old boy a good, successful retirement, give him the swan song that he deserves, and just try our best to do the best by the horse and his owner.
But just in case, there's a second wave of colonial forces waiting in the wings.
We'll have the advantage if we can get Auckland actors to Lincoln and Terra to Love all doing a job, then there'll be a great option for our broodmare owners.
StandardBred is supported by a stable of key players in the New Zealand standardbred breeding and racing industries.
They're off in the Miracle Mile and Christian Cullen began fast.
Cramming Christian Cullen's greatness into a succinct 30 seconds or so, that is a challenge, because this segment of StandardBred is about his significance in the years to come, rather than recalling his global impact of the 2 decades just gone. This sets the scene quite well though.
But Christian Cullen, 5-6 metres in front, went through the third in 28.3 and Danny Campbell let him down. Christian Cullen, 10 metres, Franco lots more, tailor-made Lombo. Then our Sir Vancelot, Franco hat-trick held up, looks a place chance. Heracles dropped out, but it's all Christian Cullen. He's 10 metres in front of tailor-made Lombo. Then our Sir Vancelot, he's done it there. Now he's done it here. Hail the new Australasian champion, Christian Cullen. He won the Miracle Mile by 20 metres. In a time of 1:54.4. What a horse. An absolute superstar.
20-something Danny Campbell had the job steering Cullen to victory in his heyday on the track. That role of guiding the great pacer now approaching his retirement is with Trent Yesberg at Dancingonmoonlight Farm, where the Wonder Horse spends most of his downtime hanging with other greats, like Monkey King.
So how old is he now?
He's 22 years old.
He doesn't look it, does he?
No, he's in great condition for his age, and it's a real testament to himself and to the studs and the trainers that have had him along the way.
He's settled in quite nicely though.
Yeah, no, he was a bit unsettled for the first few weeks, but as the farm has allowed, he's just relaxed beautifully, and he's just really enjoying not having any competition and just being able to be a horse and being the dominant one.
What's he like to be around in his old age?
Yeah, he can be a bit of a grumpy bugger. Handling's confined to myself, but at the same time, it's a real pleasure to handle such a great stallion and great racehorse.
So in a nutshell, Trent, the project here at Dancingonmoonlight for Christian Cullen?
It's to give the old boy a good, successful retirement, give him the swan song that he deserves, and just try our best to do the best by the horse and his owner.
Okay, so how does it work? What are the challenges?
Being the boutique system that we've got here, we've got a lot of things on our side. He doesn't have any competition from other stallions, we've noticed a really big difference. He's started to relax a lot, and he hasn't had to try and defend his patch, and just other little things that we've tried and that we think we can gain some advantages from.
What's been Christian Cullen's problem?
My understanding is there's just not enough sperm swimming in a straight line, to put it plainly. There's just not enough going in the right direction. So there's reasonable numbers there, but getting them swimming in the straight line, heading towards an egg is the problem, and that's where he seems to fall short.
It's not that the old boy isn't willing. In fact, if it was all his decision, Christian Cullen would have every mare halfway across the country covered. But he's 22 years old now.
Good boy.
That's about 65 in human terms.
Good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy.
So the challenge for Dancingonmoonlight and vet Andrew Bailey is how to keep the equine, we'll go with Bruce Springsteen,
About 60 mils.
on song
So you're looking for swimmers?
Yeah, we're looking for swimmers in a straight line.
for a few seasons yet.
Yeah, and that's not looking too bad for him. It's looking pretty good. There's a few dead ones in there, as we'd expect at the start of the season, and not being collected a lot. But other than that, for him, I'm pretty happy with that. Really happy, in fact.
Is that just in his old age that's happening, or has it been a problem with him along the way?
I think it's probably been getting worse as the years have gone on, with his age. I don't necessarily know that it's an age-related thing. I think it's always been there to a degree, and I'm not even sure that we know exactly what it is. There's not an actual cause, it's just the way it is for him. Horses have been chosen or selected for speed, and fertility has perhaps dropped by the wayside as far as selecting for genetics goes. So hence maybe why some of these really good, performing horses don't have the fertility, but then their progeny still have the performance.
So you're saying that it's not uncommon for a high-performing athlete to be almost sub-fertile?
No, and there's other industries too. I mean, look at the dairy industry. They've chosen cows to produce milk, not to breed, and so they've been working for years now to try and get fertility back, because you can't milk a cow if she's not pregnant. So it's a similar sort of scenario.
So a horse like him, is he almost a victim of very precise breeding?
He is, for speed. Yep. And the fertility has just been secondary.
Even the most brilliant disguise can't hide the fact that most of the glory days are behind Christian Cullen. But with his record, more natural-born runners aren't scientifically impossible.
We're not doing anything different to what anyone else. Everyone else has done a really good job in the last few seasons gone by. So we're not trying to recreate anything. We're not changing anything. We're just going to do exactly the same with him as what they've done. We are going to concentrate on the mares a lot though, and we're going to try and get those mares just right, perfect, ready to go. Well, she's 50% of the deal anyway, isn't it? And with horses, we do get a window when we can AI them. And just with given the fact that we know he hasn't got the greatest fertility in the world, just trying to treat those mares and making sure we just put that semen in there at exactly the right time, and not using our the give or take. I want to try and see if we can get it in there right at the right time. Treat them more like a frozen mare, like we would if we were using frozen semen, which is lower fertility than fresh. And just really making sure that we've got those mares absolutely perfect to give what good sperm we've got the best chance they have.
Old mares versus young mares, is there an equation there?
Well, I'm going to take it from my perspective, being the vet here. I just want reproductively healthy mares. Who sends what is not up to me, obviously. But if we get a mare here that I'm not happy with, I'm not going to muck around at the sacrifice of other ones.
Now, obviously the old fella scrubs up pretty well. But these days it's not a case of how many, more quality over quantity in a queue for Cullen's secret garden.
People still interested in him as a stallion?
Yeah, definitely. He's still got a lot of popularity, especially out there to the commercial breeders. He's definitely got value as a broodmare sire. He just continues to leave champions like as fillies and mares leave champions like Lazarus and Hoka Punter and Hyvie Tommy, and just great horses. So he'll always be in demand. In that sense. The farm here, we're sending 10 mares to him, obviously headlined by Carabella, a champion 3-year-old filly, Better's Delight, so we're going back to that Magic Cross. And she's not due to foal a bit later, but she'll be going to him this year, and hopefully we have a nice strong colt to sell at the sales in a couple of years' time.
Yes, colts. Cullen's daughters will keep his legacy alive longest, but is there any hope left for an heir to his throne?
Christian Cullen's sons, why are they facing an uphill battle, you think?
It's just maybe he was the ultimate for that pedigree cross, and we need to bring something else new.
20 years on, Christian Cullen is still a strutter. And one of his sons can still win a New Zealand Cup or a Miracle Mile, or both.
Good boy.
And there's no doubt his grandkids will be running riot around our racetracks for 20 more years yet. Like to know more about racing or breeding standardbreds? Find the New Zealand Standardbred Breeders on Facebook or go to the Breeders website. Standardbred is supported by a stable of key players, in the New Zealand standardbred breeding and racing industries. Jonathan McNeil runs a comparative boutique breeding operation these days, just northwest of Christchurch. Barra Equine is home for the family, a couple of standardbred stallions, and handfuls of elite mares. It's an easy street compared with the North American and Australasian scenes he's been up to his elbows in the last 20 years or more. Jonathan's seen stallions come and go, hybrid figure go belly up, champions turn into supersize, and the opposite. Like many in the standardbred breeding business, he rates Better's Delight as the most potent stud ever. Great, if you can get some, and there's plenty to go around, but also an opportunity for those who don't house the world's greatest stallion.
Better's Delight's obviously been, he's like the perfect storm. He's not only been a great sire of racehorses, he's also very, very fertile. And that's, you know, I've dealt with a lot of stallions that have been good sires, but I've never been able to serve the numbers that he can. So he's been able to capitalise on that. But yeah, I mean, and you definitely need to have another, an outcross to go in over all his daughters, because we're going to have a lot of the Better's Delight daughters floating around, and they're going to be good.
New Zealand stallions like the one you've got here, Sir Lincoln and Auckland Reactor, are they sort of in the right place at the right time, you think?
I do think that, actually, yeah. I think the other key thing is that Mac 3, their sire, of the top sires in Australasia at the moment, he's the only sire of sires. I mean, he's proven to leave sons that can leave racehorses. So with that in their sort of arsenal, as well as being an outcross for those mares, you know, the direct scooter over the Canfella line, we know that works internationally. That does give them a chance to go across all those Better Delights mares.
Good boy.
As Cullen walks off into the sunset, standardbred breeders are relying on his daughters to keep them in the game. They've been bred in the main to the world's greatest stallions, Better's Delight with especially phenomenal outcomes. In his heyday, Cullen was flanked by another champion son of In the Pocket, Courage Under Fire, capable of leaving his own mark. Both benefited from the injection of the speed, gait and freshness brought by the direct scooter line.
It was something new to the broodmare band in New Zealand, and that's why it made such a dramatic impact, I think. It just put in that extra speed and toughness that we needed just to take it up that notch. A good outcross sire is going to offer you potentially more gains in your performances and your horses if you're looking at generational improvements, because you're bringing something completely new in. It can be the exact opposite and be a complete flop, but if it works pretty dramatically because you've introduced that completely new bloodline into the pedigree.
Is history about to repeat itself? There are colonial bred stallions carrying that direct scooter blood again. Can they step up and help the New Zealand standardbred surge further ahead?
We have to look for another sire line to do it, because we are going to have run out of options. You know, we've got all these Christian Cullen Better's Delight crosses, so we need something new to spark it up. It's just very, very tough industry. Like, it's very brutal. They've got to have that absolute sensational juvenile to be looked upon as being a successful sire. But there's been plenty of good sires that just need a bit more time. You know, when we look at Courage Under Fire, when his first crop came out, people went on them, hot on them at all, but then they started to realise, oh yeah, he was good. We'll have the advantage if, you know, if we can get Auckland Reactor, Sir Lincoln and Terra to Love all doing a job, then they'll be a great option for our broodmare owners, because they will give them an outcross option to go forward with in the next few years. So I think, yeah, there is potential for it with these new sires. We've just got to hope they get a good enough chance and get a chance to prove themselves on the track.
Of those in the running right now, the numbers and sheer racetrack reputation favour Auckland Reactor.
I suppose breeders are trying to weigh up, you know, you've got your Sir Lincolns and your Auckland Reactors and your Terra Loves and a few of those. Are they the sort of horse that, if they were racing at the Meadowlands or, you know, the Red Mile, that they would actually be competing against the absolute best?
Yeah, well, I think so. I guess it's a tough one to answer, because when we saw Auckland Reactor didn't handle the trip that well, and there's a few contributing factors. I mean, and Calvin Harrison still maintains he's the fastest horse he's ever sat behind when he was up there. But so there was a horse that had a lot of hype. I was up in North America working in Ontario at the time, and there was even, he was a recognised name up there then. So it was a bit disappointing that he had those issues that just didn't let him see his best over there. But I do believe that, yeah, they would be competitive up there against their best horses.
Word on the street has Sir Lincoln in the reckoning.
What's the magic number really to have a chance per
Well,
season?
you've got to, in terms of first season, you know, you've got to do at least 100 metres to give yourself a chance. So the stallion of ability to have a chance, he's got to have over 100 metres in that first crop.
So he's ticked that box?
He did, yeah, he did. So we ended up, he served well over 100 metres, and he's got about a crop, I think, of 80-something foals on the ground. So that will give him a chance. If he's got the ability, he should do it.
You've seen some beach somewhere close up. As a type, is he similar? Or?
He is actually, yes, yep. He's very similar. Like I saw him after he won the Burlington, and he is just a lovely type. And I mean, I've had a lot to do with Mac 3 over the years, and I think there's similarities between him, Some Beach, and Sir Lincoln in terms of the way they're built. It's certainly a valid comparison. The genetics do count for it. And we know Some Beach Somewhere has been a sensational sire, and also leaving great horses in New Zealand from small numbers. So yeah, I think there is validity in that comparison. And there is other factors obviously that come into it, but it does help, I think, as that genetics are proven.
Even so, it's not going to be easy. Despite the colonial forces being in the affordable bracket for stallion services, they have stiff competition from nothing short of the best in the world.
On the surface here, the market looks upon the big 3 or 4 as the main options. So the other guys have to be priced really attractively to get the numbers to them, because it's a numbers game. You know, the best stallion of 20 mares is really going to struggle against a moderate stallion with 200 and 300 mares. So it's a case of pricing them to get the numbers and make them attractive. I think the challenge we have in terms of a commercially viable 2-year-old sire is that we're going to have the betters, the Mac 3s, the Some Beach Somewheres, Art Majors, the Mac and the Sir Lincolns and the Auckland Raptors all vying to win a half a dozen really major races. So yeah, they could probably make it in terms of leaving 2-year-olds, and I think that's the reports on both Auckland Raptor and Sir Lincoln at the moment, is that they're going to have good 2-year-olds out there. It's just they've got a pretty big hurdle to overcome.
New Zealand, the little guy, takes on the world. Not like we haven't been faced with that before. A generation down the track, and we might be all the better for it, no matter what the outcomes. To join the harness racing and breeding conversation, you can make contact with your StandardBred breeders associations across New Zealand.
Christian Cullen takes off. Round the outside he goes, and he's zipped up outside of Roy Mark. Tony Hurley.
At his peak, Christian Cullen had no peer. So good the old boy even went shuttling in reverse. The first down-under dude to take on the world by taking his goods to America.
The interesting thing about the Christian Cullen situation, because I was working up there in North America at the time, and it was interesting because I had a client that I was working with that had talked about Christian Cullen. I said, look, because the mare was actually the mother of 4-Star Shark, and she didn't tend to leave very spectacular looking yearlings. I said, look, if you want to go to a nice outcross, it is a beautiful sire, he's going to leave you a stunning yearling, you should go that way. Now, he was all set to do it, but he just couldn't, and I think that's been the case for a lot of the breeders, it just didn't want to take the risk, they didn't want to take a punt of trying to prove the stallion. So I think it was a lost opportunity for them up there, because they do need that sort of outcross. For them to have have Christian Cullen up there with his broodmare pedigree on him, which would have been a beautiful outcross for the North Americans, that there is room to do it for the right horse. You've really got to overcome the reluctance of the breeders though, because they, like all of us, they don't want to take a punt and go to sales with a horse that no one knows about. So it was a lost opportunity for the breeders over there, I think.
It's history now, but still worth mentioning. When Christian Cullen shuttled to North America's Kentuckiana stud in 2009, his fertility suffered with the travel and the settling in period. He sired just 26 foals in the end. Of the 26, 19 are winners. They include 149 colt, Good A Mate, whose $500,000 worth of wins included a heat and final of the 2-year-old Pennsylvania Sires Stakes. A son of the millionaire Arts Place mare Steinem's Place. Then throw into the mix Steinem, who also won more than $1 million, and you have a recipe for greatness. Maybe, if a Christian Cullen son was to make it at stud somewhere, it might be him. Cullen's best performer born in North America is inevitably a filly. Hands Off My Cupcake. She also won her Pennsylvania 2-year-old sire stakes final, same day as her Kiwi mate actually, and spends these days racing in the Preferred Mares League at Yonkers. The Cupcake has a sweet pedigree too, again from a well-performed Arts Place mare, and a third dam, Stardrift Hanover, who won over $500,000 back in the 80s. If he could land her down under, wouldn't she be a Cullen filly to breed from? So, pound for pound, is there an argument for Christian Cullen being one of the best standardbreds ever, anywhere?
And Christian Cullen about to set them alight. It's Christian Cullen. Here comes Heracles over the outside. He's about a length and a quarter back. In behind the runners, Roymark, followed then by Anvil Vance. Then came Franco and Force. Anvil Stars wide. Tactals, he's called it a day. There's a Franco was next, followed by Kate's first. Christian Cullen heads for home. It's Christian Cullen. He puts 3 lengths on Heracles. Christian Cullen. Heracles wants to come out and make it worthwhile. It's Christian Cullen in front. Heracles. It's the finish we expected. It's Christian Cullen in a galaxy of stars. He's the brightest of all. Christian Cullen wins it. Franco in force would be third, and at stablemate there's a Franco fourth. Kate's first. Brabham. Anvil Vance, followed by Surprise Package, Anvil Star, Roymark, Audio Routine, Sam Malone, Silk Brocade, and Tact Halsey. Christian Cullen, probably one of the greatest ever New Zealand Cup winners on that performance today.
On the next Standardbred, there's something about a trotter, especially this one.
He's got a champion sort of specimen about him, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a beautiful looking horse, yeah. Big and strong, and he's got everything really, the good attitude, the will to win. He was broken in the cart trotting round. You know, everyone at home that had driven him said he's pretty good. Yeah, no, everyone loved him.